someone in an outhouse approached me to do a Lavender Walk in 2007 as part of Dublin Pride. And I suppose it was a recognition of people being hungry to investigate LGBT cultural heritage. So I asked my friend Senator David Norris if he'd do the walk with me. I should have actually factored in how much of a big draw he has, infinitely bigger than I was. So we ended up with over 100 people on a walking tour. Can you imagine? In the middle of a Saturday afternoon. And actually a friend of mine, Brendan Courtney, the TV presenter, took me aside at one point and Riley remarked, he said, you know, this is like a mini pride parade. Actually, there's more people on this, I suspect, than Dublin's first pride parade. And we're not even boozing. Needless to say, we had great fun. It was really, it was a warm-hearted and gorgeous deep dive into some of our shared histories, recent histories, and then afterwards I walked away from it and I thought, you know what, there's great merit in this. I mean, the highlights of the tour for me are standing outside the Central Bank and reminiscing about the Pride rally 2 days after the government reform abolishes the old Victorian British legislation and replaces it with an equal age of consent. And the Dice Man, Dublin's most beloved street performer, is there, dressed as a convict, dragging his chain and ball of oppression. It's a big styrofoam ball. And lesbian feminist activist Izzy Kamikaze comes over with bold cultures. He's on the stage, it's all going off, and she makes a big dramatic flourish of cutting off his ball and chain of oppression. And then he does a striptease. It's just every time I'm outside the Central Bank, I just feel I'm reliving that moment again. And when I go down a little while later, go down to the Hirschfeld Centre, the site of one of the world's earliest LGBT community centres, I often find myself having to hold it together. I feel it was the making of me as a man and it was the making of me as an activist. I mean, overall, apart from special moments, overall, I'm always piqued by the real interest and curiosity I see from people.
So interesting, because I'd heard very little. I'd heard of, I suppose, very little of what we were told today. And he's a great storyteller, so it was really interesting. You're kind of just listening to him talk and relay all of these moments from 2 years back, which I'd never heard. Obviously, knew of the key dates, knew of the decriminalisation, knew of obviously the marriage equality referendum, all of those and the links, but I suppose the ones going back in the 1800s, 1900s were really interesting. It was great, the little pockets around Temple Bar and how we're still quite in the nucleus of where it started as well. It's great.
Yeah, we've always been interested in history, but it's marginalised history and histories that's excluded always has great appeal, and not just stuff that speaks directly to me as a gay man. I love ancient Egypt, and there's one of only 3 women pharaohs in ancient Egypt, and she caused a lot of trouble during her reign. Hatshepsut was her name. She usurped the throne, had a co-regency with her nephew, and he was really young, and then basically became a pharaoh in her own right. When she died, her nephew went about excising any record of her as a pharaoh, as a king. Her story is emblematic of the attempts that people go to, various societies all around the world since time immemorial, but the attempts people go to excise anything that they feel is threatening or anything that they feel is other. And I'm just fascinated in sort of like mining all of that, mining the reasons that provoke people into that type of extreme behaviour, mining how people just feel they can't actually give any space to the lived experience of a subset, a cultural subset in society. Standing outside the Project Arts Centre is really good because it's sort of, I think it's instructive to homage that performing arts space and the role it's had in facilitating queer voices over the last more than 50 years, because it has been one of those few places that has done that with great merit and conviction and distinction. You know, at a time when lots of public venues, certainly statutory venues and even civil society venues, were just reluctant to give us access. where we needed to have really important conversations. Repeatedly talk about the role of the role and value of safe spaces, sacred spaces, but spaces where people feel they can be themselves. Where, as I often say, where you can slough off your oppression and you can actually talk about your fears. You can recognise your fears and share them with other people. Cultural spaces are really important, because what are cultural spaces? But simply, what are they but simply places where we can just imagine ourselves in all our complexity, you know, our multifaceted humanity, you know, we can actually describe them and platform them through spoken words, through theatre, through protest, through exhibitions. You know, all of that's really important, and it's distinctly important for minorities who historically haven't seen themselves represented in all of those various media. So I've always do the tours during Pride. I've done them for Culture Night, but obviously it's going to be a different beast this year. It is a different beast this year. And then I do them, if I'm asked, I do bespoke tours for corporates and NGOs as well. That's always fun, because you know what it's like. You can tell the same story, repeat it over and over again, and it always changes that little bit in the retelling depending on the audience. And that's actually fun. It's also sort of keeps me on point in terms of enlivening it for people who may know nothing of the anecdotes and information that I'm sharing with people. I get a joy out of just pulling people by the nose to the information trough and going, you know, dip into that and see what you get from it, smell it. There's loads of riches there waiting to be explored.